Hello and welcome back to Goosebump Cottage. It's another lovely day. It's the middle of May and we've had a bit of a disaster with the potatoes. We have all this lovely straw, 10 kilos of potatoes, but they're not coming up. So I've done a bit of an investigation, dug a few holes, dug one here, one here, one here, and one down the end. And unfortunately, if you remember back to when we put them in, it was the middle of March and we were in a rush to get them in because we had to go to Romania to see Ellie's mum. And the conditions weren't good. There's nothing growing. The conditions weren't good, it was quite wet and we were worried that they might rot. Well, they did rot. They've all rotted. There aren't any potatoes. So that's left a bit of a dilemma. We have a huge quantity of squash and pumpkins to put in, and beans, and they're ready to go. So I could put them in here. I could move the straw over there and get them in. But we had a chat about it and we really want potatoes. So I went in search of potatoes earlier. None to be found, unsurprisingly. So as a backup, I bought a large bag of roosters and a smaller bag of Mars pipers. The problem with that is they're not chitted. They are sold on the commercial market. They may have been treated with a growth inhibitor, so they might not grow. And then I remembered that I was in the garage last week and I saw something poking out of a bucket. And here we have potatoes. And these are what's left from last year. There's a mixture of varieties in there. There's a few purple ones actually. And they're a little bit far on, but I think it's possible to get those into the ground. So now I have to move the straw and get the spuds in, which is a real pain in the arse. Oscar, move! Oscar, come on! Oscar has decided he likes rolling on the onions. Come on, Oscar, come on, off you come. Good boy. Which isn't good for the onions. So I'm going to get those spuds in. The soil is really, really dry now. It's super fine, it's lovely. I've put in some dahlia plants here just for a bit of colour. Still plenty of stones, but it's actually really nice. So I'm going to get those in. I'm just going to make holes where the other ones were. So I'm just going to do something like this. You can see it's really, really nice and loose and fine. Still a bit of scotch grass, but it's actually perfect for the spuds. So I'm just going to make some holes and drop them in and cover them back up again, and then I'll probably put the straw back on top. So that's the plan. I have to say, it's not how I intended spending my birthday, but I suppose that's the joys of it. So I'll reconvene in a short while. Right, so I've made a bit of progress. Stripped off about half the straw and I've got potatoes in all along here. That's one of the mouldy, rotten ones. That's all that's left of it. Not much, huh? So you can see the soil is still quite moist. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the rest of these little holes, little mounds. I'm just leaving the shoots sticking up, like this one and this one. I'm not going to put the straw back on there. I'm going to leave them for a week or two so the soil dries out a bit. And then rather than take all of this up, I'm going to try the other method of planting spuds in straw. Because what I've realised is that the straw has held in a lot of the moisture, so the ground hasn't dried out. You can see it's quite damp there. It's very dry elsewhere. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this straw over here and leave it there for the time being. And then I thought we'd have a bit of fun. I think I have enough potatoes to do the whole row. So I'm going to just plant half the potatoes just in the straw. And I've seen that work, so I know that does work. And now I know how much moisture there is. I'd be surprised if it doesn't work. So I'm going to put them in, and then when they grow, what I'll do is I'll mound new straw on top, and we'll see how that works out. The problem I have is that in my bucket of potatoes over here, I have a mixture of potatoes. And there are probably 5 different varieties in there. I know there's some purple potatoes, and aside from that, I don't really remember what we have. They're potatoes that I grew in buckets last year. And some of them are determinate and some of them are indeterminate. And what that means is the determinate potatoes, they only grow at one level. So they're usually early potatoes actually. So you put them in and the potatoes will spread out at that level. The indeterminate potatoes, they grow at different levels. So you put them in, and as they grow up, you have to mound up the soil around them, and the tubers keep forming on the stalks. So I'm going to hold back half the straw, keep it here, and we'll see what happens. When they start to grow, it's usually possible to tell which is which, and one of the ways you can do that is the determinate potatoes only they don't grow as high as the indeterminate potatoes. I suppose there's no need for them to, because the tubers stay at a specified level. So we should be able to tell as they start to grow which are which. That's the hope anyway. So that's the plan. The beans are doing really well. The new beans aren't up yet, and the carrots aren't up yet either. The cabbage that I planted last week under the net, that's doing very well. It needs some water, but it is doing very well. You can see I stuck in a few extra ones here, and these are the red cabbage that Ellie put in quite some time ago, and actually her onions are doing well too. Unfortunately, Oscar has decided that the onions are a great place to sit, so he's probably killing about 20 of them. But despite repeatedly moving him, he keeps going back. Brought out of bed for him, sat in the bed for about 10 minutes. Then when I wasn't looking, went back to them. So I guess it is what it is. So that's where we are now, and I'll show you how it looks when I get a bit further along. Well, it's a few hours later, and I've put in the rest of the potatoes from the bucket in here. Just made a hole, dropped them in, and then covered it back over with the straw. I've run out just here. Actually, you can see there's 2 small ones in there. So what I'm going to do is, still got a bit of space here, so I'm going to use a few from the shop that are in the house. Some of them have started to sprout, some of them haven't. I'm just going to put them in here and cover them up with a bit of straw. I'll just show you how we do it. So literally, just make a hole, get down to the earth, and then grab a potato. See if we can find one with sprouting. Come on, out there, Oscar. Let's drop it in, and then just cover it over with the straw. So I'm just going to put in a few of those and finish up.